Good morning. I hope this is on right. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hey y'all, how you doing today? Um, I thought that it went too smoothly the first time, and I guess the more I go along, the worse it's going to be. Hope not, but anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm so glad to see y'all this morning or this afternoon and be back. I had hoped to make one sooner than this, but as you know, everybody's life gets a little bit of notch thrown in it sometimes, and we just have to go with it and do what we can when we can. I am just floored at all the wonderful shout outs, the subscribers, all the things that are said, the comments. It's just overwhelming. I am just floored. Happy, but floored. I just don't know what to really say about it. But this old lady's having a lot of fun. So we'll go with that. I even got an email today from an old friend in Scotland that we knew when we lived in the Middle East, and it's so nice to be able to make contact with her now. We couldn't for so long, and so now that we can talk on email, that's fun. I learned to do that too. So she saw my other two videos, and when they heard my voice, they knew it was me. I can't sneak up on anybody or make an obscene phone call. Not that I would, but anyway, I'm kind of discombobulated today, and I don't mean to complain, and I don't want any sympathy at all, because this is life, and this is our life, and this is the way it goes, and it is so much worse for a lot of other people. We are so blessed and so thankful that we have been able to be together this long, and even with our health problems, we're doing really, it's just amazing, and we are so thankful. And having this FlossTube channel has been so good for me. But I have to tell you that I can't tell you when I'm going to do anything. I'm just happy each day if I can get a little stitching in. I don't always every day, but when I can get it, I am so happy to be able to do that. And I have to tell you, Pop has been so funny about all of this. I told him even before I did this, I was explaining to him what I wanted to do, and he knows I stitch. I mean, I've done it all my life and all of our married life, and he knows it. And I sit back there in a little love seat that we have, that we were able to get in there with his hospital bed, and the other bed that I sleep in at the other end, so I can watch him better, and he can rest, and I can get a little rest too once in a while. But I sit in there. That's mainly my stitchy spot, and he watches me, and Wizard will be up in the bed with him, and he'll be sitting there watching me too, just like, what do you think you're doing, And so I look over and see them both staring at me, and so I'll say to Pop, how are you doing? Do you need anything? And he said, no. I say, well, is something wrong? He'll say, no, I'm just watching you. So that's been real funny. But when I've been trying to explain this to him, and after I got the first video up, and I was telling him, okay, this is what I've been able to do, and with Jonathan's help, out at the computer shop, and um, so me trying to explain to him what I'm doing, it's just been hilarious because his questions are just so funny. But his main question is, are they paying you yet? No. and and that's not what I'm doing it for, because that's not what it is. He says, well, we gotta have some money. We gotta have some. Oh my gosh, we're fine. But it's just so funny, him. And he says, well, I said, people are sending me messages and comments from everywhere, from all over the world and everywhere. And he says, even New York? Yeah. And so it's been kind of funny. But we were talking the other night. It was Nicole Buckeye Stitcher. Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much. Um, she was showing her project to do about Ohio. Did I get that right? I hope so. Because that's what I'm going to talk about anyway. Somebody from Ohio. John Glenn, actually, and she showed the project she was doing, and there was a little charm that she will put on her project, and it's Spaceman. It's John Glenn it represents him when he was doing his first flight, and so he and I got to talking about that because we were stationed at Patrick Air Force Base in Florida at the Cape, at that time Cape Canaveral, when John Glenn made his first flight. And it was so exciting for all of us, everybody associated anywhere around the base or Florida at that time. And it was just at a booming time in Florida and Cocoa Beach, and all of that. And was it ever a hardship for enlisted military? It was so expensive. We had 2 small babies when we got there, and my husband had just come back from an isolated assignment in the Middle East, and so we had another baby while we were there. And so we had 3 small babies then. But I remember I was in the trailer with kids, of course, and I was watching everything on TV. And then as soon as it lift off, I went outside and watched it from there. So that was very, very exciting. I was going to tell you a little bit more about the whole experience there, if you don't mind. His job was, we were stationed there from January 62 to May of 1963, and our first daughter, our third child, was born in November of 62. His job was going to tracking stations in the Bahamas, Trinidad, Eleuthera, Puerto Rico, Antigua, Recife, Brazil, Ascension Island, and whoever knows what else. Whenever it was all very, very quiet because he was top security, and they had to go make sure everything was all right at each one of the downrange tracking stations. And someone would come and pick him up, take him off. Did never know when he was coming back, where he was going. These are places I know of that he went to, but at the time he was going, I didn't know where he was. I knew there was somebody on base I could contact if I had to, but it was only at very, very emergency situations. Never knew when he was going to be back, and so it was exciting for everybody. That also was the same scenario during the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was going on when we were there. And the only thing I really knew about that was after it was over. I mean, I knew it was going on because there was all these troops that came in for the whole thing, and they were all over the desert, not the desert, the beach, all over everywhere. And they really wanted the wives and children to go somewhere else. But at that time, I was very pregnant, and with the 2 other babies, it was too far for me to come by myself up here, up to Mississippi. And I've been through things before growing up, living on military bases, and I just, no, I'm not going to leave. It's what's going to happen is going to happen. I just felt like it was going to be okay anyway. So I stayed there, and thank God, it was okay. But we saw a documentary several years later, many years later, and we were watching it, and I said, what is this like from your point of view, from your perspective, where you were and what you were doing and what you were reading and what you were decoding or whatever it was? And he said it was a lot closer to that point than anybody really realizes. So he was a good one for those types of jobs because he sure kept his mouth closed. He still does sometimes. He'll come out with a little story every once in a while, but he is a very tight-lipped person, which is good for what he was doing. And I'm very proud of him. We had a lot of good times in service, and it was a good experience for everybody. I had grown up in military, so I knew a little bit about it. But I'm so thankful for all of our military before, since, now. Our son was in the Air Force. Our grandson has been medically discharged, retired rather, from the Army. He was in Iraq in 2007, I think it was, and he went back later to Afghanistan. So, really, really proud of all that. And he and I both, families were in service. So, and people have commented to me about being military wives too. And people don't know unless they've been in there. It's not that easy, but really military people pull together and stick together. And I found that when we were in and when I was growing up too. And it was a very, very good experience. So I will go on from there a little bit. Let me think. I thought I was prepared, but you know how that goes. My mind is kind of oh, I know. Talk about the military. Of course, I would like patriotic stuff. Red, white, and blue has always been colors that I have loved, like to wear, like to decorate my house with, and of course, cross stitch. So this is one that I did, and as you know, we're still in the stuff I did years ago, You're gonna wonder if I've ever done